taboo. And I have had difficulties. The taboo having to do with drugs. And I grew up and there was a taboo. Don't smoke grass. It's going to lead to worse things. You're going to get into hard drugs. And a lot of people said that to me, but I did it. I smoked the grass. I got involved when I was a teenager. But I found out that after a while I got into another group, another environment where people didn't do it, and so I was lucky. I was fortunate to stay away from it. Now, as a parent, I have a 19-year-old who I have just learned is smoking grass. I am not going to be the hypocrite and tell him, thou shalt not do it, because I did it. What I'm trying to do is educate him and tell him some of the problems I faced and some of the consequences that he'll face if he continues to stay within that group. He must find another environment, another group of friends that don't engage in this type of activity.
Mind if I add some humor to the subject?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Bertrand Russell says, the people who are regarded as moral luminaries are those who forego ordinary pleasures themselves and find compensation in interfering with the pleasures of others.
I know, getting high is a pleasure that some people still like to do. But what I found out is you can get high one day and then pay 30 days in a row with the lack of motivation afterwards. You're high, yeah, man, I don't want to do anything, man. I don't want to do anything but have the munchies. Yeah, let me get something to eat, man. Why do you think they call it dope? You become a dope. And it stays in your system for 30 days. Now, you experiment with it. I know, but there comes a point where after you learn that, I can only go so far with this, then I have to get away from it.
Do you believe that more people, I don't know if you've checked the statistics, but is drug use on the rise? Are more people using drugs today than...
I don't know the statistics, but I think young people will always experiment with it. And I think the great majority of it will just do that, experiment, and then move on. They'll find out that not only marijuana, but alcohol is not going to give them the answers that they're looking for. They're going to have a lot of questions. They're going to have to do it sober. And unfortunately, some of it is painful. It's part of growing. And suffering is suffering,
So one of our viewers says, so what shall we do? No taboos? No laws?
Yeah.
No marijuana?
No hypocrisy. No hypocrisy. Look, we can't enforce something that we ourselves broke growing up. We can talk about the consequences to ourselves. And that's what I try to do with my son. Now, what I found out is that I told my son there's certain types of his friend, not types, certain friends I have problems with. And I think that I hate to say this, but appearances carry a lot. And I said to him, there's certain guys that you hang out with. I'm concerned. I know about their background. I'd like you to see less time being spent with them and hang out with others.
So what can you propose as a solution, not just for your son in this personal situation, but in general?
Ask the questions. Challenge. Seek
But
different
isn't
ways.
trying something that is taboo or forbidden, isn't that a kind of questioning?
I think we're going to break the taboos. Anyone who is a risk taker, and that's what I've been. Christ, I went to Vietnam. I jumped out of airplanes. I became a trial lawyer. I did 10 jury trials in 9 weeks. You know how much of a risk that was to my hemorrhoids? I didn't have hemorrhoids until after doing that 10th jury trial. Let me tell you, risk-taking is part of the nature of the A-type personality. That's what I was. As an attorney for 20 years, an A-type personality.
Okay, enough about you. More
All
about
right,
yourself.
and there are people who are going to break the taboos. Hopefully, they'll find out, okay, I broke the taboo. What's the big deal? Oh, I can see why it was in place. Well, let me allow it to exist for others.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
A taboo is a prohibition. It's saying, don't do this, no to this, this is wrong, this will harm you. What if we create a society that has kind of, this is just off the top of my head,
Go ahead.
but it's like a posi, it's more posi than negative.
I love
where
that.
we enforce as a society positive things, that what you should do, what you can do, what will, like you said earlier, bring you pleasure and help you to avoid suffering. What if it becomes a more it's like a propaganda of sorts, but it's not about what you shouldn't do, but about what you can.
I agree. I wish that we could get everyone to see that there's a better life through love. There's a better life through light. There's a better life through goodness. And what do I mean by goodness? What do I mean by love?
I mean, I think that's where you get yourself in trouble when you start talking about goodness.
I don't know how else to discuss it. I mean, love and light and things that are spiritual, things that are above our ego. The things that having a Corvette, having the most beautiful house in the world, there are things that will bring you a far greater joy and last longer.
But two viewers agree that if there's a taboo, then someone will always want to break that taboo, and then everyone will do everything bad, or one of our viewers says, and nothing good, because that, you know, when you put something out there and you say you can't do this, there's always going to be those who say, well,
people are
why
breaking.
not?
You know, I hate to admit how many of the commandments I've broken, but I've broken a lot of them. I mean, I'd venture to say that many of the people who are here in this room and just outside have broken at least a fair share of them. I mean, look, I wish that we can get positive reinforcement. I wish that there was a way that you can only give good.
What about the
golden rule?
golden rule?
The good. The golden rule is good. I mean, we all want to have something good done to us. We don't want to do anything bad. We don't want anything bad happen to us.
So we can reiterate what that is in case our viewers
The golden rule is do unto others as you would like to have done to you. Do not do unto others what you find hateful towards you. I think that's a better way. It's almost like a commandment itself. Do not do to others what you would find hateful done to yourself. I'm not sure what religious background that is, but I think it's said in a better way. What you find hateful to yourself. I think that if you could go through life...
It's interesting, too, that we see that some of these taboos or rules or laws are overlap. As much as there are differences between different cultures, different religions, different time periods, as we kind of talked about, too, it's a generational thing. Even with the changes that happen in all of those things, we see that there are some overlapping things, and in a way that kind of points to the kind of spaces, the places where we are global, integrated, and unified.
I totally agree. I wish we could find that. I wish we could find a way that we can always stay in agreement as one. And I think through the wisdom in nature you can do that. I think if you...
So what is it? I mean,
what is it that you surrender? You give up.
One of our viewers is saying, "What are you, religious? What is your point? You need to go to church."
I want you to drop the ego. Do you see this? Drop your ego. Minimize your ego. Minimize what you think you are all about.
So become
let me tell you something. We're not all that. We are just small objects in a large universe, but we tend to think we're the greatest. We're not. We're very small. And once that we get to the point where we can say, my God, we ain't diddly, then we can say there's a higher force that can help me. There's a higher force that can help me get to the point where I can learn how to be greater. And it is through a group. Now, there's an old English term, thee and thou. I say let go, minimize the ego, and elevate thee. Elevate the ego. And once we get to that point, my friend, I like to share with you what will happen. We will share the we go. Now, can you see that? Share we go. I mean, this is bull, this is a whole, but what the heck is this guy doing? What I'm trying to tell you is that there's taboos that were in place. They're coming to an end. And that's right. But we have to fill it in with something that is far greater than ourselves. You're not going to find it in the ego. You're not going to find it in the world here. It's only outside.
And that society can help play a part in influencing
the environment. The environment can help play the part. Thank you.